Welcome to the sleepy town of Parys, situated on the southern side of the Vaal River, just 50 minutes from Johannesburg. Sleepy it may well be, but not during the first weekend of November, when the SACCS descended on the town for the final showdown of the year. And what a showdown it was! All the adrenaline, mud and dust of the race is brought to you by Toyota, Ford, Total Quartz and Pirelli. The first weekend in November was always going to be one to remember. If not for the fact that South Africa took on England in the final of the Rugby World Cup, then certainly for the Parys 400. By now, everyone knows how the rugby turned out, but here are some highlights from the spectacular final round of the 2019 SACCS. Round 6 of the series was based at the Parys airfield, on the outskirts of the sleepy Free State town itself. With the start and finish on the fringe of the DSP and a crowd-pleasing stadium section just 100 metres down the route, this was clearly going to be one for the fans. By the time round 6 came around, all the championships had been settled for the year, but there was still some shuffling to be done, especially in terms of runners-up in the various classes and categories. But in the end, that hardly mattered. The men and women who compete in South Africa's premier cross-country racing series are racers at heart, and even with most of the championship positions already sewn up, they were chomping at the bit to get going. But speaking of the championship, let's see how things stacked up after round 5 of the 2019 season. With an unassailable lead, Henk Lateghan wrapped up the 2019 Class FIA Championship with 1 round to spare, whilst Janiel de Villiers had to relinquish the crown to his teammates as a result. At the same time, the third Toyota Gazoo Racing SA driver Shamir Variawa was left to ponder what could have been had it not been for a DNF on the opening event of the season. Chris Visser and Ernst Roberts rounded out the top 5. In Class T, Lance Woolridge has stamped his authority on the season from the get-go, winning all but 1 round of the series. The Horn brothers were a distant second, 77 points adrift, with Jacques Van Tonder breathing down their tailpipes. Gary Berthold's consistency paid off this year and left him trailing Van Tonder by 30 points after 5 rounds. And in Class S, it was the David Huddy show, as Hudspeed had already locked out the title earlier in the year. There was still a dice on the cards in Parys, looking at the overall production vehicle category. Whilst Lateghan had bagged the title, Woolridge and de Villiers were still very much in a fight for second overall, whilst Variawa and Visser were locked in a battle of their own. So, plenty still to race for in Parys. The special vehicle category saw Lance Trethui trounce all comers throughout the year, and the big man from Wartburg wrapped things up with a round to spare. In Class A, the Massages had second place on the standings, but with Clint Gibson within striking distance, as was John Thompson in 4th place. Julio Ferreira was not only 6th place overall, but also the highest placed Class P vehicle, comfortably ahead of Nick Gosler, who was in 8th place overall. Finally, the sideys. Werner Mostert was well clear at the top of the pile after 5 rounds, with Christo Rose in 2nd place and Vickers Haasbroek holding 3rd. Deelwald van Breda and Peter Walter rounded out the top 5. So those are the numbers, but behind the cold digits are real men and women, and we caught up with some of them during the build-up to the 2019 Parys 400, the final round of the 2019 SACCS. One of the men who couldn't help but feel disappointed with his 2019 season was Malalan Toyota's Johan Horn. The former class champion and overall race winner was clearly not his bubbly self, but would have Leander Pienaar standing in for brother Werner in the navigator's seat beside him at this event.
It's been a tough year for us. I've got a new navigator for the last race, so yeah. We're going to go out and do our best and just finish the race.
Another man who had a rocky season, especially during the first 2 rounds, was Atlas Copco's Chris Visser. The burly farmer and transport mogul rued his early missed opportunities, but even so, still found some reason to go racing in Parys.
Yeah, I must say the beginning of the season wasn't very good for us, the first 2 races especially, but after that it turned for us, and yeah.
For former SACCS champion Janiel de Villiers, the 2019 championship slipped away at the previous round, so this time out he was focused on his preparation for the Dakar Rally, including racing with his international navigator Alex Harrow.
Alex is here with me this weekend, just trying to get used to him a little bit more for the Dakar. We had a very good rally in Morocco.
So on to the man wearing, figuratively at least, the laurel wreath. Henk Ladergan has matured immeasurably during his time in the SACCS, and as a result has become the youngest champion in history, which leaves the question, what was he racing for in Parys?
So look forward to this race and just try and be at full focus and have a good one again, have it clean.
For Lance Woolridge, the situation was very similar, albeit in Class T rather than the Class FIA. The Ford Castrol cross-country driver dominated this year, but even so, he was looking forward to the upcoming event. To make things even more interesting, he still had to fend off De Villiers for second place in the production vehicle category overall.
Yeah, we've had a very good year, we're very lucky. We've got a lot of Ford and Castrol guests coming to this race, so we've got to put on a good show for them still. So yeah, same as always, got to go for a win.
And finally, we also caught up with Archie Rutherford, not in his capacity as a Class S competitor, but rather as the president of the SACCS.
Yes, so far so good. It's been a great season. Toyota's done superbly well internationally. They won the Dakar for us. They won Janelle won the Morocco rally now, so it's put us on the world stage. We've got a lot of international competitors here in South Africa this year, and for us this is building on that. We've got some new exciting things planned for next season. We added another racing for next season, so we'll have 7 events, and we hope to attract some more international starters.
There you have it, just some insight into the workings of the SACCS as part of the build-up to the Parys 400, the final round of the 2019 season. Which brings us nicely up to the start of the Parys 400. As has become custom, the SACCS together with Total and NWM also supported a local school with shoes, bags and learner packs before getting down to the task at hand, the qualifying race of the Parys 400. This would be contested over a short, sharp route of 45 kilometers, determining the starting order for the main event. The weather was clear and hot, the track dry and dusty, and the big machines of the SACCS were lined up to tackle the route. All that remained was for the clocks to count down and the crews to let rip. And at 1300 on Friday, the 1st of November, that's exactly what happened. Qualifying race for a round of the SACCS is always a fast and furious affair, and it was certainly no exception in Parys. But at the same time, parts of the route were fairly rocky, and even a small misstep could cost a crew dearly, so keeping it neat and tidy was a priority. In the special vehicle category, Julio Ferreira and Mohamed Mulson found the going tough, posting a time of only 1 hour, 2 minutes and 5 seconds after 45 kilometers. Keith and Andrew McAnally, in contrast though, posted a time of 38 minutes 57. Still not lightning fast, but certainly a much cleaner run. Ahead of them, Trace Pricemoor and Sean Braithwaite went 5th fastest in category in their Class P bat, whilst the Massages posted the 4th fastest time in their Class A striker. They were actually 17 seconds quicker than Pricemoor and Braithwaite, but trailed the Bat Venom, piloted by the Voigt brothers, by 47 seconds. The second step of the qualifying podium belonged to John Thompson and Marisa Matten in their Zarco Challenger. The pair went just 9 seconds slower than eventual winners of the qualifier, Sandra Yonk and husband Jaco, in the Total Agri Porter. Navigator Jaco was over the moon with their standout performance.
We had a really good run. Seems like our luck has turned. So yeah, let's hope it lasts for the rest of the event and we can finish strong.
Another man with reason to smile was Vernon Mostert, who together with brother Leon took pole position in the side-by-side category. They went 19 seconds faster than Vickers Haasbroek and Jurgen Smith over the 45-kilometer loop, who in turn led Dierwold van Breda and Johan de Tooy home by just over half a minute. Theo Erasmus and Edward Odendahl were 4th in the category, with Peter Walter and Sean de Villiers going into 5th place. Interestingly, the gap between the fastest and the 5th placed side-by-side was just 1 minute and 27 seconds. So, close racing was indeed ahead. In the production categories, David Huddy and Gerard Skidder found themselves playing second fiddle to Archie Rutherford and Rodney Cook in their Toyota Hilux. The Nissan crew had an amazing season to date, but in Parys, Rutherford came through to post not only the fastest time in Class S, but also the 7th fastest overall time, pipping plenty of Class T and FIA cars along the way.
No, it was a great day out there. Nothing went wrong for us. Everything went right. I had a good navigator standing in for my son, and we didn't put a foot wrong.
At the same time, the battle in Class T saw 4x4 Mega Worlds, Dylan Fenter and Donovan Lubber retire due to a mechanical failure. Further ahead, Richard Leek and Zahir Badania posted a time of 35.21, good enough for 7th in class, but also leaving them with plenty of work to do come the main race. They had Atlas Copco's Gary Berthold and Jeff Minute nearly 2 minutes ahead of them, while the Malalan crew of Johan Horn and now new navigator Leander Pienaar posted the 5th fastest time, 16 seconds quicker than that of Berthold and Minute. But the battle at the head of the field was an all-Ford affair, with Jacques Van Tonder and Nico Swartz going 4th fastest, Vos Prinsloo and Andre Vermeulen setting the 3rd fastest time, and the Brazilian regulars, Marcus Boomgaard and Kleber Cincia, going 2nd fastest. This was the Brazilian crew's best qualifying to date on the SACCS Tour, and they pushed their Ford Castrol cross-country teammates, Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable, all the way. In the end, Woolridge and Huxtable finished the qualifier with a winning margin of just 2 seconds.
Yeah, we pushed in the first half, and then in the second half it got really rough, so we backed off a little bit.
Which brings us to Class FIA, the undisputed heavyweights of the SACCS. These Dakar-specific vehicles traditionally set the pace, though a well-driven Class T car can very nearly match the performance of a Class FIA vehicle as well. For former champion Janelle de Villiers and navigator Alex Harrow, however, things couldn't have gotten off to a worse start. The 2009 Dakar Rally winner launched his Toyota Gazoo Racing SA Hilux into the qualifier with gusto, but was forced to retire shortly after entering the stadium section due to a broken clutch shaft.
Unfortunately now, 1.8 k's in, we broke a shaft that comes from the clutch, unfortunately, and that was us.
As for the rest of the field, things got really tight at the top. There was trouble for Toyota Gazoo Racing SA Shamir Variawa and Jean Moore. The pair suffered 2 punches on their Toyota Hilux, dropping them way down the order. Up next was Thomas Bell and Patrick McMurran, who went 7th fastest in their brand new Redline Motorsport Nis Navara. They had teammates Terence Marsh and Lesego Zulu ahead of them, with a 3rd Redline Nis Navara, this one in the hands of Ernst Roberts and Henry Kerner, going fastest of the Nissans. Roberts' time of 32.39 was just 21 seconds quicker than the time posted by Marsh. 4th place in Class FIA belonged to yet another Nissan Navara, driven this time by Daniel Schroeder and Ryan Bland. The pair posted a time of 32.31, which put them 1 minute 32 behind the King Price Extreme machine of Clint Weston and Gerard Snyman, who qualified in 3rd place, a stonking performance from the former rally driver and track racer. This left just the top 2 spots, and with de Villiers and Harrow out of the equation, the fight was always going to be between Toyota Gazoo Racing SA's Henk Ladergan with navigator Brett Cummings beside him, and Atlas Copco's Chris Visser and Donnie Stassen. The 2 Toyota Hilux crews didn't hold back, but in the end it was Visser who set the benchmark time of 29.25. Ladergan trailed by a mere 18 seconds, so the fight during the main event promised to be a scintillating affair. Here's confirmation of the results. In Class FIA, it was Chris Visser and Donnie Stassen who brought their Atlas Copco Toyota Hilux in 1st place, 18 seconds ahead of Henk Ladergan and Brett Cummings. They had Clint Weston and Gerard Snyman behind them, and Daniel Schroeder and Ryan Bland in 4th, with Ernst Roberts and Henry Kerner in 5th. Class T was an all-Ford affair at the front, with Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable going fastest. They had teammates Marcus Boomgaard and Kleber Cincia just 2 seconds behind them, and then Vos Prinsloo and Andre Vermeulen a further 1 minute 17 seconds adrift in 3rd. Van Tonder and Swartz and Horn and Pienaar rounded out the top 5. At the same time, Rutherford went 7th fastest overall and set the pace in Class S in the process. The specials saw Sandra Yonk and husband Jaco set the pace at the top, with John Thompson and Marisa Matten just 12 seconds adrift in the 2 spot. The Voigts were 3rd fastest, with the Massages in 4th, and Trace Price-Moore and Sean Braithwaite went 5th fastest in the category to set pole position at their first time at the Nationals in Class B. Werner and Leon Mostert took top honours in the highly competitive side-by-side category, with Haasbroek and Smith in second, and Van Breda and de Toy in third. So there you have it, the championship to date, as well as the qualifying race from the Parys 400. But there was still one more sting to come in the day, in the form of a fearsome hailstorm that pelted the DSP late in the afternoon. This was followed by penetrating overnight rain, changing the character of the route comprehensively and setting us up for one hell of a race on the Saturday. So join us again shortly as we bring you all the action from the main race of the Parys 400.